In this video, we're going to talk about the properties of water. So just to review from the last video, remember hydrogen, methane, and water are covalently bonded, so they share electrons evenly, as opposed to an ionic bond, something like sodium and chloride, where you have oppositely charged ions that stick together due to opposite charges. But if we look at water, we can see that though it's covalently bonded, it actually has some charge separation. The hydrogens, because they're much smaller and not as electronegative as the oxygen, have their electrons pulled towards the oxygen. So the oxygen becomes slightly negative, the hydrogens become slightly positive, and this polarity gives water some unique properties. So the term polarity just means different charged regions. Just like the Earth has poles, water has polarity. And the polarity of it means that water tends to stick to other water molecules. So a negatively charged oxygen will stick to a positively charged hydrogen of another water molecule near it. And this is called cohesiveness, meaning that it sticks to itself. So you can see the water strider here can actually stand on the water because the water molecules are sticking to each other, creating what we call surface tension. This is also important because unlike other molecules of its size and similar properties like carbon dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, or methane, those are all gases at room temperature. Water, because it sticks to itself, remains a liquid at Earth's average temperature. And that's important because without water in liquid form, we wouldn't have life on Earth. It would be impossible. Another important property of water is it doesn't just stick to itself due to its polarity, it also sticks to other compounds. So for example, salt, sodium chloride, those charged sodium and chloride ions stick to the oppositely charged regions on water. So salt dissolves in water. We call that adhesion, so it's like adhesive tape. It sticks to other things. That's important. You can also see it dissolves things like ammonia. Ammonia is a metabolic waste product produced in our cells, and it dissolves in water, and our body, our kidneys can remove it. Sugars, salts, vitamins, all these are water-soluble compounds. Your blood is basically a solution in which we have all these different ions and salts and carbohydrates dissolved in water. Here's an example of a protein. Now proteins are very large molecules, but they have a lot of charged regions on them, so they also dissolve in water. An example of that would be an egg white, where you have a protein dissolved in water. Other properties of water that make it important for life on Earth are that when water evaporates, it absorbs a lot of heat. This is because the rapidly moving molecules become gas, so the slower ones stay on the surface, and that produces a cooling effect. Why is that important? Well, because that means that water is an excellent evaporative coolant. So when you're hot, you sweat. When that sweat evaporates, it cools you off. So you can survive in temperatures above 100 degrees, above the temperature of your body, because of the evaporative cooling that can keep you cool. Dogs and other furry animals have to pant or develop other means to use that evaporative cooling because they're covered in fur. But for us, sweating is an excellent way to stay cool using the evaporative property of water. The last property of water I discovered when I moved to San Francisco about 12 years ago. I lived at the coast, and you can see this is a typical summer day in San Francisco. It was 63, 69 in the bay, a little bit inland, and then about 10 or 15 miles inland, 90 degrees. Look, on Sunday it's 67. It's going to be 102 about 15 miles inland. Why is it so hot inland? Well, because on the coast we're surrounded by water, and water has what we call a high specific heat. This means that it takes a lot of energy, a lot of heat energy to heat up water, and it takes the removal of a lot of energy to cool down. So water moderates global temperatures as compared to planets that don't have water, like Mars or Venus. They experience very, very rapid, extreme temperature changes just from day to night because there's no water there to absorb and keep that heat in. That's also why humid areas like Louisiana, though it gets hot here, it doesn't really cool off at night. In desert climates where it's very dry, even though it's very hot during the day, it gets very cold at night because that moisture is not holding the heat, capturing the heat. So water helps to moderate global temperatures. So this is just a quick outline of some of the important properties of water and why water is so important for life.